I'm so glad. Awesome. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome back to the
Welcome.
show.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. It's cold here in New York and warm there in Fla, right? You're in Florida?
Yes.
Fabulous. So I am so happy to have my sister back on my program, my first podcast interview, Dr. Kia Pruitt,
Thank you.
who is a wealth of knowledge of so many, many, many things. I hear you speak on a million subjects on your YouTube channel. You've got just I mean, I can't stop listening. And
Thank you.
your audience as well. One of the things that I love so much is your take on the divine feminine, the divine
Yes.
masculine. I want to do a round table with more people, but we're in a very critical point in our world right now where if you say you're a woman, you're a racist or something. I don't know. It's gotten so confusing that I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I want to respect everybody's point of view and opinion and who you are, because who you are is like the biggest prime directive, right? Of being true
Yes,
to who you are.
yes,
Metallica, nothing else matters,
that's right.
know who you are and nothing else matters, or whatever the line is. So how do we, I've heard you speak on many different sub issues of this subject, and a lot of them are really fascinating, especially as we move from what we've been experiencing for these past like 150, 200 years. I mean, we can go way back to, the a grandmother right now should be the wisest woman you go to get advice to.
Yes,
And kids these days see that as like a dumb old person,
yeah,
and there's
yeah.
just so much wrong with how we're, and this whole idea of toxic masculinity. I bought it,
Mhm.
that it's deliberate. You're like, oh yeah, of course, all of these things that are dangerous and violent are
Mhm.
bad. So they took that little toxic
Yes.
masculinity thing and implanted it. And now boys don't even know what to say or do.
I
It's
know.
everything, everybody's tiptoeing. So
Mhm.
why don't you just start us off and give me a little background on what you speak about regarding divine feminine, masculine
Yeah.
previously, and we'll go from there.
Well, thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. You always make me feel so
Oh,
sweet and warm and juicy
awesome.
because you make everybody feel loved. So thank
One,
you.
two. Oh, that means so much to me to hear that. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So the way I feel, and just like you, Erin, I bought into the whole, toxic masculinity because it's a part of the programming where you think that all men are bad, or we don't need men, we need to get rid of men. But it's a part of, like I said, the programming and what they put into the rhetoric in the media.
Mhm.
However, when you think about the law of nature or the laws of the universe, there is a law of the universe that is the law of divine gender, or the law of gender, period.
Mhm.
And that law just states that you need both the masculine and the feminine to work together synergistically, or in synergy, in harmony, in order to have balance.
Right.
And so when you know that you're both made of male and female, we all are, we both have those type of energies and characteristics. You know that if you have one predominating characteristic that controls your life, you're not living in balance.
Right.
So going back to the law of the universe, or a universal principle, is that everything has to be in balance. And so what the powers that were, I don't even like calling them the powers that be
Right.
anymore, because
They're
we're
not.
speaking it into
That's
existence that
right.
they're out of here.
Exactly. They are. They are no longer in the
No
present. They're in the
longer.
past.
This is our reality. We're taking control.
That's right.
Right? So, but what the powers that were did to us was that they tried to do all they could to make the woman become super masculine.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, that
Yeah.
we have to be aggressive, we have to go and get it, we have to fight, we have to be assertive, which is very good to be assertive.
Hmm.
It's very good to even hustle if you have to, but to do it all the time is against our nature.
I believe that's true. Absolutely.
That's why we have sickness, diseases, we're obese, we're dying younger.
Mhm.
All of this comes from us operating too much in the masculine and not enough in the feminine, you know?
Right.
And you don't want to be so feminine, I guess, that you can't do what you need to do, but they need to be in harmony and
They
in
do.
balance.
That they do. I mean, I believe we all come from source, from true
Yes,
source.
yes.
Source had no gender. The only
Mm,
reason genders began was so that we could procreate and multiply.
right,
So
right.
apparently it's like I'm doing this always in my podcast. There's like
Mhm,
this
mhm.
this force, this beautiful ball of light that I imagine source to be. And
Yes.
what I'm hearing is that it wanted to express itself. So then it split,
Mm,
right? So
yes,
if you take an orange and you cut it, and that's masculine and feminine
yes.
sides, what came first?
Mm,
Neither. You're cutting it at the same time. It's split at the same time. It is
yes,
equal. They are
absolutely.
completely equal and necessary, yin yang, all of that. And it's been a slow and very clever. I mean, you have to give credit that this was so cleverly done, because
Yes.
who would argue with women should get equal pay?
Right, right,
Oh, who would argue with women should be able to vote?
right.
We
We
found out
need that, right.
that was a big money and tax and everything else.
Mm,
I mean,
yes,
it's just insane. So you've raised children and now grandchildren, right?
yes,
Who
yes.
what can you speak to, what, and you have students and everything, can you speak to what's going on that you see in your classrooms and your world these days, on the confusion or the confidence?
Erin, what I see going on in the schools is way different from when we were in school, and it's almost too much to bear.
Yeah.
So I know that a lot of our children are traumatized because a lot of their parents have to work, so nobody's home raising the children, which
Right.
is a big issue.
Right.
And that's something that I know came about. What is it? I think it was after World War II, where now they encourage women to go to work, and now we all have to work for the most part in order to eat. So they
Mhm.
make it so that you can't live. So both parents have to go out and work, and nobody's home raising the children.
Right.
The children are in chaos, Erin. They don't eat breakfast. They're angry. Some of them don't know who their fathers are.
Right.
The ones who do know who their fathers are, their fathers are busy.
Hmm.
And so they're living in chaos.
Yeah.
I look at how the men and the women, the young girls and young boys talk in middle school and high school, and it is out of this world. They're talking
Sure.
about their high body count, how many people they've had intercourse with,
Right.
the
Crazy.
girls, the girls,
That's
Aaron.
insane.
Remember back in our day,
When it was the boys who were like, yeah.
it was the boys, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong that boys should be doing that, but you just didn't hear girls talk about, oh, I got a high body count, you know.
That was totally shameful when I grew up to be
Yeah.
promiscuous. Again, it's
Mhm.
not right for a man to do it or a boy to do
Right.
it, but that was like accepted as talked about. But you would
Yeah.
never hear, as
Mm-mm.
promiscuous as anyone was, that someone would actually be talking about it.
I
You would
know,
still be
right?
hiding it.
I know. Yeah, remember back in the day, if you even got pregnant, they would send you down to the South to stay with your grandmother. And again, I'm not shaming anybody. I'm just saying now they're in high school with 2 kids,
Right.
um, having sex. Children are being caught in the closets and underneath bleachers,
Oh my God.
participating in what's it called? Not what's it called? The other sexual act. I can't think of. I watch my words.
Oh, the
Oral.
kind that you speak with? Yes.
Yes, children, babies.
No, I know. It is so disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. And it's been not only, this would have never, this is not natural. This is
It's not
planted.
natural. It's
This
not.
is completely planted, as we know about the other high octane things that are going on in the world that we
Yes,
won't even
yes,
speak about. But that
yeah,
is the last agenda, is
it
to
is.
get everybody on this page that, hey,
Mm.
it's just where, in my opinion, like, sexuality has been so like growing up, it's taboo. You can't, oh,
Mhm.
you can't show that on TV. You can't, they created this like, but then like, where do families come from? And like, how come
Yeah.
nobody's actually talking about it in a healthy way? And if
Right.
you repress it, how in the world can anyone have some sort of mutual and even relationship? I mean, when
Mm.
you know so much history, and just going back to like the Native Americans,
Mhm.
if there was a problem in the it was the women
Mhm.
who, and it's not that someone should be the
Mhm.
final answer. There
Mhm.
was a time where men said, what does Charlie Ward say? He says that his wife and he have an agreement, is that, I don't know if it was him, but that he'll handle all the big stuff and she handles
Mhm.
all the little stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Mhm.
basically she handles everything because the big stuff is the little stuff, right? I forget how he,
Yeah.
but it's that we're together
We're
because we were
together.
originally one. You're, nobody
Yes.
has, you're, aren't we all female in the womb?
Yeah, that's right. We all start. My daughter taught me this because she studied biology, that
Mhm.
we all start out as female in the womb and then things change after a certain amount of time.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
So for someone, I mean, just this whole, I mean, there's so many legs to this little
I know.
centipede. And it is the main one. If I were gonna
Mhm.
take over the world and divide and conquer, that's
Mm.
exactly where I would be looking first is, and
Mm.
I learned years ago that it was about dividing the family, that
Yes.
everything that comes out, that's uh any publication, anything that's written in print,
Mhm.
all comes basically from one place,
Okay.
one state. So Red Book magazine, I don't
Mm.
even want to name their names, but they
Okay.
all, and when I started looking into this, you know, the source was saying, look at how even in the schools, everything is about teamwork, which seems like a great thing.
Mhm.
Everything's about teamwork, teamwork, teamwork. The flip side of that is that your parents don't know nothing. Your
Oh,
family doesn't know anything. You want to
yeah.
be part of the team. You want to be part of us.
Mm.
Leave your family alone, and we can see the actual result. So how do we, I mean, I thought being a tomboy was cool and a good
Yes.
thing, and that was like a very benign thing. Yeah,
Mm.
you know, I like to
Mm.
be, I rode horses growing up. I, you know, like to build things or whatever. I wasn't
Yeah.
like so girly, and now I want a dress and lipstick, and I want my femininity back. I want,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do we talk to our kids and neighbors and everything without hurting feelings? Are you even
Yeah.
allowed to be a woman anymore?
Yeah, I know. That's a very touchy topic because they've made women so masculine these days and made men so soft. Have you noticed that the so-called alpha males or the strong males, just men in general, they can't say anything about anything. They
That's
can't say anything. If a woman wants to do something to a child that he helps to create, he can't say anything.
that's right.
Um, if he doesn't like to see men in dresses and he doesn't like what he sees on television through entertainment, how they're feminizing men, he can't say anything because he's trying to speak against women or he's trying to speak against the powers that be. He's toxic.
That's right.
When
Everything.
did masculinity become toxic?
No, I know. It was a very, you know, the boiling frog analogy,
Mhm.
very slowly, because it starts
Mm.
with, of course, everybody wants equal rights. Of
Yes,
course,
of
everybody wants
course.
equal this. Of
Yeah,
course, we don't want women hurt and everything.
we
So then
don't.
you get
Yes.
everybody on board, and all of a sudden, where in our
Mm.
population, there's
Yeah,
no population overpopulation. We
yeah.
are underpopulated. We
Mm.
are absolutely like in trouble. And
We are.
obviously, they don't want the masculine men who would have stood up against things that are going on. That's one of the
Absolutely.
biggest things is like, first you be
Absolutely.
quiet because the girl knows more, or you didn't have this happen to you, or it's all, and it's very, very confusing. Like when you
Mhm.
have this, you you're going to get enough holes in your boats if you keep just,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, shooting into the sky. And that's what's happening now, because like
I agree.
take for instance like gender reassignment, which if that's a real thing
Mhm.
and if that's what you
Right.
actually want to do, I'm all for doing what you want to do. But
Mhm.
now we're erasing what people are spending their whole lives. So like for
Yeah.
one example, let's say there's a little boy who wants to be a girl. He
Mhm.
wants to go to Disney World and he wants to hear welcome boys and girls.
Okay.
And now he's a girl and now there's no welcome boys and girls
Hmm.
because now we're taking out that those words are
Oh,
toxic.
we are.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you can't say boys and girls anymore?
Well, you can't say, right. A lot of things are now being
Wow.
changed. So
Okay.
that, so like even today, as I was telling you earlier, a dictionary has now just changed the definition of a woman.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You did tell me that, but I'm still trying to
It
process
is
that.
unbelievable. So now, what if you can't, like it, and also in the court, right? That, um, I forgot her last name, but one of the judges who was just announced to the
Yes.
Supreme Court, she was asked in Congress, well, can you define a woman? And this whole
Mm,
thing went on, well, I'm not a biologist, so I can't define a woman. I know. And I
mm.
don't want to insult someone who really feels like it is so incredibly toxic.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's where the toxicity
Mhm.
is in these things. So now if you can't define a woman, then how are we going to celebrate Mother's Day? Mother's Day should just be taken off of the, right? Like
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
thing, if you're going to have everybody believe one thing, then all these other things need to
All
be.
these, that's right. They set you up, don't they? Like
Yeah,
they get you to get on board with one thing. And like you say, it just escalates and snowballs. And before you know it, you're in a big mess and
that's
you
right.
participated and
That's
not
right.
even know it.
Didn't even
Yeah.
know it. I mean, the whole Roe versus Wade, I know that that's very
Mm,
explosive,
yeah.
no matter what you believe. And I feel like I'm a good example because I've been on all sides of
Okay.
everything. I've been pro, I've been for. So I
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I did change my mind. So I kind of have a balance of,
Wow.
but the
Okay.
details about that is that she was never raped.
Right.
Okay, so first she admitted that she lied about the whole thing,
I know.
including admitting that she was never raped.
Hmm.
And then furthermore, she never had an abortion.
Isn't that
She
crazy?
never had an abortion.
Wow. Wow.
So what are we clinging to? What
Right.
is that? You know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that whole graphic, there was like a silhouette of a pregnant woman.
Mm.
It's my body, my choice, right?
Yeah.
So you had an arrow pointing to the pregnant woman's body,
Mm.
saying my body, and then an
Okay.
arrow pointing to the baby inside saying, not my body,
Wow.
right? If the,
Right.
how does that, so like I feel like it's gotten so ridiculous that we can actually speak about it now because
Mhm.
if you're even coming from a genuine point of view, if it's my
Yeah.
body, my choice, then
Mm.
that child in your stomach is not your body because
Mm.
that's the body that everybody wants to have rights for, right? We're going to have
Right.
trans
Right.
rights. We're going to have, so that's a
Mm.
person. So that's that
Mm.
person's rights.
Right.
So it's just,
Mm.
I see it flipping. All right. So that's a lot of the
So sad. Yeah.
a lot of the big problems here. Let's talk about a lot of the answers on
Okay.
what I mean, it's a big subject. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but what does divine feminine mean to you?
Divine feminine basically just means tapping into that nature, that part of you that's natural, that the loving, kind, compassionate that we both have, both male and female, but tapping into that and using it or living in that place in such a way that you create harmony between the masculine part of you and the feminine part of you. So
Right.
it's just really the nurturing side of a woman,
Mm-hmm.
actually,
Mm-hmm.
and doing those things that we traditionally used to do. I'm a traditionalist, but again, I've been on both sides.
Right.
So I have full
Yep.
disclosure.
Yep.
I tried the hustling,
Mm-hmm.
Aaron. I tried to doing things all by myself.
Yeah,
I
me
tried,
too.
I tried it working and just trying to be the man and the woman. It does not work.
It doesn't. It really
You get
doesn't.
tired.
Absolutely. You're trying to fill two roles and it shouldn't
Yeah.
be that way. And again, that's another thing that's kept women all from coming together and sharing
Yeah.
ideas and how to
Yeah.
do things. I mean,
Mhm.
when someone told me that whipped cream was cream that you whip, I was like, really? That's it? This one silly example of
Yeah.
how it's a deliberate setup so that women don't know how to, oh no, we got to go to the store and we have to get this.
Yeah.
Growing your own food, you put the seeds in and you let the sun and everything, you
Yes.
monitor it. It doesn't need much of our help anymore.
It does. Yeah, it
I just
does.
saw a video, someone was talking about that they're in Mexico and
Okay.
all of the trees everywhere that there are trees are palm trees. Palm trees have replaced mango trees, lemon trees, orange trees,
Mm,
all of these fruit trees that grow naturally in Mexico have been removed and replaced with something you can't eat.
that's the same. It's the
So
same.
that to me sounds a little bit like deliberate intentional starvation. And depending on the government, depending on a store. And then they said, oh, well, coconuts are still around. You could still get a coconut. Who's got the height to get a coconut in this modern
Right.
day? Who's got the weapon to open a coconut? It's like, oh no, there's still fruit.
Mm.
No, there's not.
And I believe it was my daughter that told me that most of the plants that we see now, they are actually male plants. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
like the feminine principle has been removed even in the vegetation in the plants.
Oh my God. Isn't this just
It's
insane?
it is insane.
That is,
It is insane, and the sad part is that a lot of us participated in this whole, change that
yes,
we see going on, and we didn't know, and just if I could just say briefly that I remember I'm old enough to remember that when the mothers would only work at certain, jobs
mhm,
to, like, supplement the income,
mhm,
and I'm all for women working if that's what they desire to do, but
mhm.
when the government created this opportunity for us to work outside the homes, they didn't just stop there, but they came out with commercials. You know, they had this commercial where you can wash your hair. What was it called? Oh gosh, it's a shampoo commercial. I can't think of it, but I'll talk about the perfume commercial. What she said, I can bring home the bacon,
Bacon, fried.
fried up in the
Hey,
pan, and never ever let you
you
forget
forget.
your name. Cause I'm a woman, I believe.
Yeah,
You remember?
of course I do. I think we're peers. We're the same.
Yes. So they were basically programming us.
Yeah,
I can go out and work and bring home the bacon. I can still could come home after I've been worked and slaved all that time,
that's right.
cook for you,
Mhm.
you know, and take care of you in the bedroom.
That's
Because
right.
I'm a woman, I can do it all.
And
But they
that
forgot
was
to tell us that you're exhausted if you try to
exactly.
do it all.
Exactly, and that message really did reach. I remember it, not just the jingle, obviously, and
Yeah.
because you're like, yeah, that it was
Hmm.
created as right. Why should we be housewives? Why should we do this whole barefoot and pregnant was like swearing at someone,
You remember?
And so the same thing with the men.
Okay.
They have just taken out their masculinity in a
Mm,
way that I mean, I love men. I've had no, I mean, there
mm,
is some major problems everywhere. The
mhm,
relationships that I've had, I have had nothing but really respectful, really awesome guys. Almost all of my friends growing up were guys. I just like their personalities.
yeah,
I love how they like, I love watching them think. I love watching
yeah,
them. They're just, there is a draw and they're the same way. When they watch a
mm,
woman be
mhm,
feminine or girly or
mhm,
something, they
mhm.
get, very entertained by that too. The same
They
way that
do.
we watch them in awe of like, I don't know,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
like,
they really like that we are the opposite of who they are.
yeah.
They're brawny, they're rough, they like to fix things, they like to think and make things work together, and they like to build and create.
Mhm.
They did the infrastructure, and we appreciate that. And I
Yeah,
appreciate women that can do the same thing.
right.
But when it comes to relationships, men like to see the opposite of who they are. They like softness.
Right. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. And they need
Yeah.
to be appreciated. They need, I
Yeah.
mean, we've all been so trained to like, no, I got it. I can do it.
Yes.
Yep. And like, oop, hold on.
Okay.
There I am. Great.
I got you.
Um, even things like, the men in the pubs. I used to like completely go,
Mm,
why wouldn't in Ireland they don't allow women in the pubs to have a drink and
mm,
whatever?
okay.
And I can kind of now see that like women get together in their own personal ways,
Hmm.
and then men
Yeah.
would get together, and they need a place to be free and to speak freely
Yes.
and to
Yeah.
talk about problems that are going on in their marriage or with their daughter,
Mm,
or what are they going to do.
mm,
My roommate is like, why is it always like a man says, oh well, once I became a father I really started
yeah.
to respect women. It's like you needed to realize that somebody could hurt your daughter for you to
Yeah.
respect that it's any woman, and that it's.
Hmm.
So, I mean, and what I was saying, back to the Native Americans,
Yeah.
uh, if there was a problem in the community, the the female put some of the male's belongings outside of the tent, which was a very clear communication to the community at large that there was a
Mm,
problem. And it wasn't,
mm,
oh, let's go beat this guy up, let's go
mm.
ostracize him. It was
Okay.
discussing the problem. The
Wow.
Native Americans used to do something too. If someone stole something, they would
Mm,
they would have a gathering and a meeting, and they
mm.
would all express something positive about this person.
Oh,
They
I
wouldn't
like
talk about,
that.
yeah.
I like
So what do you
that.
think that does? That makes you go, oh, oh, I mean, that's so effective. We don't have
Mm,
anything like that. I've suggested that in schools.
I like
I always
that.
thought that there should be like, for bullies. Now I realize the
Mm,
whole bullying thing is planted.
mm.
Everything is planted. I mean, it's all to divide and conquer. It's all to
Wow.
keep everybody afraid of each other. And anyway,
Mm,
um, what can you say about I've heard you speak before about like the the confusion and the contradiction of women saying I don't need a man, and yet
mm.
their boss or their landlord or whatever is a man, and they're
Yeah.
sort of, or they're not respecting their husband in their house.
Mhm,
They're trashing men, and then here's their husband who's not getting
mhm.
any.
Yeah, yeah. Oftentimes, because of our programming, we'll say, I don't need a man, I could do it all by myself. But the danger of that happening is when you say, I got it, and you do it all by yourself, is you end up doing it all by yourself.
Right.
You can't say I can do everything by myself and then complain that I'm not protected. Who's going to protect you if it's not going to be your father, your husband, or the men that are in your life? So I often say that it's interesting that we find ourselves not wanting to submit or yield, or even and being yielding to a man, to me, just means to be okay with him doing what men do. If
Hmm.
the man provides the discipline and the structure, then be okay with that.
Right.
You can always have a conversation and cooperate, learn how to synergize with him. But when you say I don't need a man, I'm not going to listen to my husband because I hate men, I don't like men, or men are bad, or men are toxic. I question how you're able to do that, but you can submit to a boss. You
Right.
will do what your boss tell you to do. You're not going to back talk him. You're not going to tell him you hate him. You're not going to tell him to shut up. You're not going to roll your eyes, stomp your feet, all that. You will submit to somebody while you're on this planet. That's just the way things work.
Hmm.
Submission is not a bad word. It just means to yield, to understand, and overstand that we all have roles, and we
Yeah.
work within those roles in
Yeah.
order to create something amazing.
Exactly. The same way we want them to yield to us when it comes to the children. You want the husband coming
Mm.
in, and you're dealing with a fever or something, and you feel as a mother, you know what to do. Imagine
Yes.
if you said, "Nope, let's no, let's go outside," and like naturally men just say, "Yeah, you
Yeah.
probably know more about that."
Yeah, they do.
Someone's coming to invade the house, I'd be like, "Yeah, you probably know more about this."
Right. I don't want to
What's
go
wrong with
outside and
that?
try to stop somebody that's breaking in my house to steal things or to
Yeah,
harm me.
that's
You
right.
can do that, honey.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, and if we all, can just try to understand, even if you're going to identify as a different gender, even if you're going to identify as
Mhm.
something else, you have to understand that we all come from the very same source, the
I
same
like
place, and
that.
the only reason there's genders is to to multiply. I mean, I
Mhm.
always look in nature. you see the birds doing this? Do you see the cows doing this? Do you see
Mhm.
anyone else but us
Yeah.
doing this nonsense? This is complete nonsense. So how do you support your daughters, your sons? They're all on completely different life paths?
Yeah. Just be an example of how I feel that life should be run,
Mhm,
be an example of I have masculine traits, because we have masculine and feminine, but keep it balanced. I'm
mhm,
a matriarch. Their father passed away or transitioned, but while he was alive, I did what I could to work together to make sure he stayed alive and to create family harmony and balance. But once he transitioned, then I became even more of a matriarchal figure. So I just live the example of being feminine and also doing the job that I need to do to make sure our family survives. But again, it all goes back to exampleship because our children don't necessarily do what they hear us say, they do what they see.
right. And so what about your sons, or the males in your life who you are being an example for? Are you
Yes. So I don't open doors around my sons. I don't drive when they're around. Just the things that they feel that are traditionally male.
Uh-huh,
I step back and I am
uh-huh,
comfortable completely with them paying bills
uh-huh,
because I live with my son,
mhm,
but he pays the bills.
uh-huh,
I'm just comfortable with allowing him do the male things,
right.
and I encourage it and applaud it because that's what they saw their father do. If I don't when we go out to eat even, I don't say, "Oh, I got it, I'll take the bill." No, I let them pay because
Mhm,
for us, that's what the men do, in
mhm,
our family.
mhm,
So
mhm.
again, by example. And
Yeah,
my son even said that my son recently got married. He said, "Mom, thank you for showing my wife and me that you respect me as the man." So when he would say, "Okay, everybody, it's time," what do you say? Oh, the lights are out. I'm about to turn off the lights. I said, "Oh, okay." Oh, he said, "Mom, your bed is ready for you. I'm about to turn off the lights." I didn't say, "I'm grown. I'm your mama. I can do whatever I said, "Okay, son, thank you." And I went to the room
yeah,
to
yeah,
show him I respect your leadership in your
yeah,
house as the man.
yeah.
Yeah.
This will be a very difficult thing for people to put into practice. Probably what you're
Yeah.
saying is something that is so foreign to so many modern women
Yeah.
because they're so confused about what their role actually is and how
But
to.
if you're confused about your role and you don't find out what men need and what they want, you won't find yourself in a relationship. You continue to be single. Men
Yeah,
have not changed, Aaron. They have not changed. They like what they like. They like certain things that are masculine and they like feminine women. They have not, it's us that have changed.
yeah, that's right.
So we're gonna have to come to a happy medium and balance so we can have whole families.
I totally agree. I could not agree more. I have just about a minute to wrap up.
Okay.
So
Okay.
do you see how fast that went? Didn't
It
we
did
just hit
really,
on? I mean,
yes.
come on.
But you did such a great job too of bringing it back to the whole, how we
Oh,
started off as one and we can go back to being one.
thank you. Thank you.
You're
I mean,
welcome.
because when you look at the planet and the universe and I
Mhm.
mean the multitude, the this is what it
That's right.
is that it's not down to these little things. So
Yeah.
like as a action thing, can you give
Mhm.
men, boys, girls, women any idea to try to work on this week? Is there something that you
Yeah.
can do to activate your divine feminine or your divine masculine without even having to like outwardly say it to anyone?
I think one of the ways to operate in your divine feminine is to go out in nature because nature is a wonderful example
Yes.
of peace, harmony, and love. Go out in nature, do some meditation, some stretching, some yoga, so you can release all any toxic energy, and learn to caress yourself. I know it sounds a little freaky,
Yes,
but
no,
I
it
learn
doesn't.
to kiss yourself, caress.
Absolutely. It's so great to hear you say that. Oh my God. Dr. Kia Pruitt, you are my girl. I love you so much, my
I love
sister.
you more.
Oh my goodness. No, we'll have to fight that one out because
Okay.
all right. But
Yes, ma'am.
thank you so much. I don't want this to cut us off. Um,
Okay.
please come back on the program and please
Okay.
keep up all the great work.
Yes, ma'am. You too. You're doing wonderful, by the way. You are
Thank
doing
you.
an excellent job. I'm glad to share the space with you. I love you.
Thank you. I love you.
Okay.
Bye for
Bye.
now.
Bye, sister.
Bye.